Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel SK Tech. In today's video, we are going to discuss about exception handling, and we are going to cover like what is errors in Java programs, what is exception, how we can handle the exception, and types of exception with some example. So let's begin. So what is errors in Java programs? So as a human being, we commit many errors. A software engineer may also commit several errors while designing the project or developing the code. These errors are called as bugs in our software industry, and the process of removing them is called as debugging. So let us take a look at different types of errors that are possible in a Java program. So basically there are three types of error in Java program, that is compile time error, runtime error, and logical error. So let's see one by one. So first thing is like compile time error. So these are syntaxical errors found in the code due to which program fails to compile. For example, forgetting a semicolon at the end of the Java programs, or writing a statement without proper syntax will result in compile time error. So let us see some these programs. If you run this program, we will see the output something like this. So this is what it is saying, the semicolon is missing after this or before this statement. So something like this. So these kinds of error is called compile time error. And why we are saying this is compile time error? Because this can be detected at compile time by the Java compiler. Okay. Now let's move ahead and see next types of the error, that is runtime error. So what is runtime error? So this error represent inefficiency of the computer system to execute a particular statement. For example, insufficient memory to store the something, or inability of the microprocessor to execute some statement comes under the runtime error. Okay, and this is why we call runtime error, because this is detected at runtime by the JVM. So let's say this example. So here if you can see, we have some statement like n equal to 9, division equal to 0, and we are doing some calculation. So if you see this logic, so if we run this program, it might say compile time is proper because there is no error at the compile time. Syntax wise everything is looks good, but when you run this program, you will see this logic definition. So number, it means 9 divided by 0. So basically it is going to result some arithmetic exception, and that can be detected when you run the program actually. So that's why this kinds of error is called runtime error. So if you run this program, you will get something like this. So division by 0, and this is a warning kinds of error. Okay, this is called runtime error. Now let's move ahead and see another types of the error is like logical error. So what is the logical error? So this error, despite the flow in the logic of the program, programmer might be using a wrong formula, or a design of the program itself is wrong. So logical error are not detected either by the Java compiler or the JVM, meaning not at the compile time or not at the runtime. So in every way, programmer is solely responsible for them. So let's say this program. So in this program, if you say calculate the incremented salary of an employee, but he gets the wrong output. If you run this program, this is the logic of the program to calculate the incremented salary of an employee, and if you run this program, you will see the output something like this. So it means that syntactically it is correct. So there is no compile time error. When you run this program, program also runs and get the output. There is no runtime error, but logically it is incorrect. So since we have written the logic something like this, it is giving output this, but this is not actually the incremented salary. Instead of that, if we can use something like salary plus equal to salary multiply by 15 divided by 100, then we could have get the proper output. So these kinds of error cannot be detected at the compile time or at the runtime. This error is called logical error. Okay, so these are the errors and types of the error. Now let's see what is exception. Basically exception is a runtime error. So here the question arise, can't I call a compile type error an exception? The answer is no. Why? Because you cannot call compile time error also as an exception, because they come under errors. We will see how. So all the exceptions occur only at runtime, but some exceptions are detected at compile time and some are at runtime. So that basically the exception that are checked at compile time is called checked exception, and then exception which are checked at runtime is called unchecked exception. So what is checked exception? So checked exception that are checked at compile time by the Java compiler are called checked exception, and the exception that are checked by the JVM are called as unchecked exception. So unchecked exception and error are considered as unrecoverable, and the programmer cannot do anything when they occur because that occur at runtime. Programmer only can write the Java program with the unchecked exception and error and then can compile the program. He can see their effect only when he run the program. So Java compiler allowed to write the Java program without handling the unchecked exception and error. But in case of the other exception like checked exception, programmer should either handle them or throw them without handling them. We will see how to handle them and how to throw them without handling. But he cannot simply ignore them because Java compiler will remind him. So let us take an example, something like this: public static void main and then string argument, and then we are using throw IO exception. So here IO exception is the example of the checked exception. So we can throw it out of the main method without handling it. We will see the syntax of this, but this is the way. Let us say we do not want to handle the exception, we just want to throw it so that it can be handled by the Java itself. So this is the syntax to use the throw keyword and then exception class. Okay. Now let us see hierarchy of the exception. So hierarchy of the exception is like something this. First it will be object class, that is nothing but the superclass of the every class. Then throwable. So what is throwable? The throwable is a class that represent all the error and exception which may occur in the Java. So all kinds of error or exception are comes under the throwable class. Okay. So what is the difference between exception and an error? An exception is an error which we can handle it. It means when exception happen, the programmer can do something to avoid anything. But an error is an error which we cannot handle it. It can happen and the programmer cannot do anything. Those are called as errors. So basically error is the error which we cannot handle it, it is unrecoverable. But the exception is an error which we can handle it or we can do something to handle it. So as we have already discussed, all the unchecked exception or you can say runtime exception are comes under the error, but exception can again divided into two parts, that is runtime exception which is comes under the unchecked exception and compile time exception that is comes under the checked exception. Okay. Now let us see how to handle the exception actually. We have seen what is the exception, what is the errors. Now let us see how to handle the exception. Okay. So first we will see how JVM is handling the exception when we are not handling the exception. So basically whenever the exception occurred inside a method basically create an object and that object called as exception object, and that exception object is transferred to the JVM. So basically JVM show the error output message inside the terminal or you can say console. So this is how Java internally handle. Okay. Something like this. Let us say we have a main method. Inside the main method we are calling some method called computer division. Okay. And inside the computer division method we are again calling some other method, let us say divide by 0, and the flow is goes on, let us say like that. So let us say assume there is some exception occurred inside the divide by 0 method. Then JVM will check is there exception handling happen here. So in this case let us say there is no exception handling. So what will happen? It will throw that exception to the caller of the method. So in this case caller of the method is like computer division. Then again JVM will check is there any exception handling happen here. In this case let us say method without exception handler means there is no exception handling happen. Again this method will throw the exception to the caller of the method. So at last it will reach to the original caller of the method, in this case main method, and then again JVM will check is there any exception handling happen or not. So let us say this method is having without exception handling. So what it will do, it will create an object called exception, and that exception object will be forwarded to the JVM, and JVM will throw the exception inside the console or inside the terminal. So this is how exception handling done inside the JVM. Okay, now let's see how programmer handle an exception. Okay, so basically programmer can handle the exception in customized exception handling way. So basically Java has provided 5 keywords, and using those 5 keywords user or programmer can handle those exceptions. So what are those 5 keywords? So first block is try block. So what is try block? So basically we will put all the piece of the code which might occur the exception based on our experience or understanding, we will put inside the try block. So try block, what it is going to do? So it will see if there is an exception, it will throw that exception, and those throws exception can be catched by another block called catch block. So when the exception is raised, it need to be caught by programmer, right? So this can be using done the catch block. We will see with the help of the example also how it can be caught and how what is the advantage of using the catch block. So basically the catch block follow the try block that arise an exception. So this keyword catch should always be used with the try block only. We will see. Next block is like finally block. So what is the uses of the finally block? Sometimes we have an important code in our program that needs to be executed irrespective of whether the or not the exception is thrown. Like in case of try block, we will put all those code which might occur the exception or which might cause the exception. Inside the catch block, we will write some exception handling for those which are thrown by the try block, but in the finally block we will put all those code which we want to execute always whether or not the exception is thrown. This is called special types of the block, and this is completely optional. Next keyword is like throw keyword. So what is the use of the throw keyword? The keyword throw is used to throw the exception explicitly. Let's say we want to throw some exception based on some logic, and those kinds of scenario we will use throw keyword, throw the exception explicitly. Next keyword is like throws. So similar to the throw, there is another keyword called throws. The keyword throws does not throw an exception but is used to declare the exception. The keyword is used to indicate that an exception might occur in the program or the method. We will see the uses of the throws keyword also and what is the advantage of using the throws keyword. So these are the 5 terms that we are going to use or that are provided by the Java to use that and handle the exception. So let's see one by one. So let's take an example. So let's say we have a same statement that we have seen in our previous example. Okay, something like a is having 5 value and b is having 0, and let's say we have some calculation like a divided by b. So we know that this statement is going to be throw some exception. So what kinds of exception it can throw? So based on our experience, we will get to know like this is the arithmetic operation, so it is going to throw some arithmetic exception. So there is a exception class provided by the Java called arithmetic exception. So what we will do, this piece of code we will put inside the try block, because let's say here we have hard coded it. Let's say this 2 variable is coming based on some input variable, right? So it is the chances that this program is going to run successfully. Also it is the chances that this statement it could create some exception, right? So all those statements which might cause the exception we will put inside the try block, and we will write the catch block according to the type of the exception it could throw. For example, in this case it might throw some arithmetic exception. So based on the experience we will write catch block, and then we will provide the class name like arithmetic exception and then object of this class, and inside the catch block we will handle the exception. Let's say what happened if the exception occur, what we want to do. So let's say for example we have just written like e dot print stack trace. It means it is going to print all the stack trace which causing this exception. So if you run this program you will see something like this. So it is saying like in the this is the arithmetic exception, and what is the reason for the arithmetic exception? Inside the main class of the skTech line number 10 there is some problem. That is problem is nothing but divide by 0. So this is statement, and based on that we will later on we can identify it and we can correct it. So this is the one of the example that Java using the try catch block user can handle the exception. So now let's see what are the need for the try catch block. So we have already seen, right? Let's say another program like this. So let's say we have written some array defining the size of 4. It means that it can hold the 4 element, right? And we have already known that array indexing is starting from 0. So means 0 to third index it can store the element. And let's say we are trying to access the fourth index, means array of 4. So we know that array can throw some exception. So what kinds of exception? That will also come based on the experience. So for example, if we are trying to access the index which is not available, in those kinds of scenario it might throw array index out of bound exception. Okay, so let's say if we have not handled that exception, what will happen? After throwing this exception, whatever the statement put, it is not going to execute, it is going to skip it. But let's say we have a requirement, if there is some exception, it should handle those exceptions, it should show some message, and after that all those statement written after this statement should execute, right? So if you run this program, you will see the output something like this. It will throw array index out of bound, index 4 out of bound for the length 4 at the line number 10. And if you observe here, this statement after this array statement, there is this statement is there, this is not printing here. So using the try catch block we can handle it and we can avoid it this kinds of exception, and also we can continue to execute this statement also. So let's see how we can do that. So let's say we know that this statement can cause the exception, so we'll put this statement inside the try block, and then we'll write some catch block. Inside the catch block we'll write the types of the exception which might occur. So based on experience only we can know that okay, this might occur array index out of bound exception. So these are all built-in exception provided by the Java. We can write our own custom exception also, we will see how to write it. And based on that, let's say we have written some statement. In case of this exception, we want to print the message of the exception, and after that we have written some statement. So this time if you run this program, since we have already handled the exception, so instead of skipping this statement, it has simply printed the message that we have written here. It means whatever the operation that we have performed in case of exception, it has printed here, and after that continuously it was executing the next statement, that is like hi, I want to execute it. This is what it is printing. So this is the use of the try catch block basically. But here if you observe, based on the experience we got to know okay, this statement can cause the array index out of bound. But what happen if some statement can cause multiple exception? How we can handle it? That we can handle it using the multiple catch block. How we can do that? So let's say we have some statement like this. We are taking the input from the keyboard as an integer type, and based on the number we are providing or we are doing some operation here. So in these kinds of scenario, this same statement can cause multiple exception. For example, let's say first input we have provided like 0. If we provided the input as a 0, it might throw some arithmetic exception. If you provided the some instead of integer, if you have provided some other value like string, so in those kinds of scenario, when this statement is going to execute, it might throw some other exception, that is called number format exception. So we know that this statement can cause multiple exception. So if there is a multiple exception can occur, we can write multiple catch block to handle each exception separately, something like this. So we know that it can cause arithmetic exception, we will write catch block with the arithmetic exception, and we will do some operation based on the requirement, and then we will write another catch block with the some number format exception, and here also based on some requirement we will do that. So that here in this case we can handle multiple exception in this statement. So if you run this program, so let's say first input we have provided like some string, but it was expecting some integer value, right? So in that kinds of scenario it will throw number format exception, and since we have written like logic like to print the exception here only, so that's what it is printing here. In case of second input, let's say we have provided 0, so in that in those kinds of scenario it might throw arithmetic exception. Those exception also we have handled it. In those kinds of scenario, what we are doing, we are printing some simple statement. We can do multiple operations also, but in this case let's say we are printing some statement. So this is what it is printing, arithmetic exception occurred, okay, and the message of the exception. So in this way we can handle multiple exception. Now that here we are able to handle the multiple exception, so multiple exception can also be handled like this. Let's say in both kinds of exception we want to perform one same statement or same operation. In those kinds of scenario we can write those multiple exception handling in a simple or a single catch block like this using the pi operator. Let's say this piece of code is producing like number format exception or arithmetic exception. In both the scenario we want to do same operation. So instead of handling multiple catch block, we can write simple one catch block, and using this pipe operator we can define like this and we can do some operations, okay. So this is the another way of handling the multiple catch block. This was provided after Java 7. Now that we have seen how to handle single exception, how to handle multiple exception, but in both the scenario we have seen what are the exception. Based on our experience we know we can handle it. What happen if the exception is occurring which we are not able to recognize it? How we can handle that? Is there any class provided by the Java which can handle all kinds of the exception? Yes, there is a class called exception itself which can handle all kinds of exception. So something like this. So let's say we have a statement which might occur some exception, so that we have put it inside the try block. So let's say this piece of code again we have handled it using the try block. So let's say this is this might occur some arithmetic exception, we have handled it. This piece of code, let's say we are thinking like it might throw some array index out of bound exception based on our experience, but actually that is not true, right? So let's say this piece of code we have put it inside here, and inside the catch block we have handled like arithmetic exception, array index out of bound exception. But what happen if this piece of code is not throwing arithmetic exception or not array index out of bound exception? Other than that, if it is throwing, what will happen? So in those kinds of scenario, at last we can put exception itself. So if it is throwing arithmetic exception, it will come in this catch block. If it is throwing array index out of bound exception, it will come in this catch block. And if it is throwing other than arithmetic or array index out of bound, by default it will come into this catch block. So basically this is the super of the every built-in exception, and at a time only one catch block can execute. If it is occurring arithmetic exception, it will come here, and after that it will come out of this catch block. So basically, so if you run this program, you will see output something like this. So what is happening here? Let's debug one by one. So first what we are trying to do, we are printing this statement try block 1, then we are doing some operation that might cause some exception like arithmetic exception. We have handled it, so that's why it is printing block exception E1, that is nothing but this one. Then it will go to the second block, it will print this statement like try block 2, and then again we are doing some operation. Let's say this is also throwing some arithmetic exception, but instead of handling the arithmetic exception, we have handled like array index out of bound. So it will not go this catch block basically. Then it will come to the here, since exception occurred here only, it will not execute this statement. It will come out of this try block, it will check is there any catch block which is handling this exception, okay. Then it will see, okay, arithmetic exception is there, okay. So then it will come inside here, that's why it is printing main block arithmetic exception, that is what we have written here. And after that it will come out of the catch block, and it will print this last statement like code after nested try block. So these are nothing but if we are writing inside the try block another try and catch block, this is called nested try block, okay. And in this way we can handle all kinds of exception. So basically this is the exception which can handle all kinds of exception, but in this case you will not be able to recognize what kinds of exception occurred. It will say there is an exception, but what kinds of exception, that you cannot recognize it. But this is useful when you don't know what kinds of exception can occur. If you know, so you can write all the known catch block here and at last you can write exception. Okay. So this is how we can handle the exception using the try catch block. Now the next statement was called finally block, right? Now let's see what is finally block. So what is the use of the finally block? So basically the main uses of the finally block is like, let's say when some resource cleanup or such as closing the file need to be done even if the exception is thrown. We have already seen if exception occurred, it is going to skip all the those statements which are written after the statement which is causing exception. But let's say we have a requirement, we are doing some file input output operation, or let's say we are doing some database connection operation. If there is an exception, we want to execute some piece of code to close this connection or to. So basically the finally block will give the guarantee that this piece of code, what are the piece of code that we have put it inside the finally block, is going to execute always, whether the exception occurred, that time also it is going to execute, when the exception is not occurring, that time also it is going to execute. So basically finally block is useful when we want to perform some operation always, irrespective of the exception occurred or not. So syntax of the finally block something like this. We will be having try block. Inside the try block we will be putting all those statements which might cause the exception. Then we will be writing multiple catch block to handle those exceptions one by one, and then at last we will be putting finally block. So block of the code to be executed after try block ends, whether the exception occur or not. So let's take an example and see how it is. So let's say we have one class called this main method. Inside the try block we have some statement. So here if you see, we have written some catch block to handle the null pointer exception. So let's say this statement is proper, it means it is going to execute this statement, and after that it is going to come out. Since there is no exception, it is not going to come inside the catch block, and after that it is going to finally block. So if you run this program, it is printing like this: try block, then result, then finally block. Though exception occurred, finally block executed, and then rest of the code, what are the statement is written. So if you see, even though there is no exception, then also this finally block is executed. And let's take another example when there is some exception. Let's say we have some piece of code like this, it might throw some exception. Let's say it is throwing arithmetic exception, and we have already handled arithmetic exception like this. Okay, and then we have put it finally block. So in case of multiple catch block, if one catch block is executed, it is not going to enter inside the another catch block, right? Similar to that, let's say it is going to execute finally block or not. So if you run this program, you will see output something like this: try block, then this executed, and it thrown some exception. That's why this is not printing here num. Then it went inside the catch block because we are already handled that arithmetic exception. Then it is printing catch block, then this statement, and after that also it is going inside the finally block. That's why it is printing here, and then rest of the code to be continued. So we have seen like even in case of the exception also finally block is executing, right? So this is the useful in kinds of the some operation where we want to execute some piece of code always, whether the exception occurred or not. So this is the use of the finally block. Now let's see next keyword. Next keyword is like throw keyword. So what is the use of the throw keyword? We have already seen. So there is also a throw statement available in Java to throw the exception explicitly and catch it. So let us see how it can be used. So this can be used like this. So this is the syntax of using the throw keyword. We can use throw and then exception, or we can say throw new some exception and some message. Like this we can use this, and this is the useful when we want to throw exception explicitly. Like earlier when there was an exception, it was throwing exception, we are putting inside the try block, and then catch block was catching the exception, right? But let's say we have some requirement, we want to throw some exception based on some certain condition. For example, let's say we have written logic like this: validate age, and here we are providing the age value. So let's say if user is providing that age, it is going to validate it. If age is less than 18, we want to throw some exception with some message like this. So this is the class provided by the Java itself, means it is built-in exception, right? And here we have provided some message, and inside the main method we are calling this validate method, and let's say we are providing 10. So what will happen? It will throw some exception. then it will come to the caller of the method. It will check is there any exception handling happen or not. Since there is no exception handling, it is going to pass to the JVM, and JVM is going to print the exception inside the console. So if you run this program, you will see something like this. So it is saying like from the main method it went to the validate age method, line number 5, and from there it was throwing some exception called not eligible to board and drive, right? That is what it is written here. So this is how we can use the throw keyword to throw some exception. That exception can be built-in exception like arithmetic exception, or that can be user defined exception. We will see how to create the user defined exception. Next keyword is like throws keyword. So what is the throws keyword? Even if the programmer is not handling runtime exception, Java compiler will not give any error related to the runtime exception, right? It was simply handling it, but the rule is that programmer should handle the checked exception, right? That is what we have seen. So in case of the programmer does not want to handle the checked exception, he should throw them out using the throw clause. So basically this is useful when some exception is occurring and programmer don't want to handle it. So in those kinds of scenario, he can use this throws clause and he can throw it so that it can be handled by the JVM, right? So what is the syntax for using this? So this is the syntax. Let's say we have some method like method name and some return type, and in the signature of the method only we will write something like throws and exception class name. So this is the use of the throw clause. Now let's see with the help of some example. Let's say we have one method called fun method. Inside the method it is throwing some exception, or let's say we are throwing some exception explicitly, like in this case we are throwing illegal access exception. This is the built-in class provided by the Java. So using the throw here we are throwing this exception. It means that we need to handle the exception here only, but since we are not handling the exception, we want to throw this exception to the caller of the method. So it is the responsibility of the caller of the method to handle the exception. So in this case, let's say this fun method is called by inside the main method. So here Java will give some warning, please handle those exceptions which are coming from the fun method. So in this case, let's say we have handled it using the try catch block, right? So this method might cause the exception, that's why we have put this statement inside the try block, and inside the catch block we are handling it. So here if you see, throws is also useful to tell like what kinds of exception it is throwing. In this case, let's say it is throwing illegal access exception, so that other developer can identify, okay, it is going to throw illegal access exception, so he can handle it, right? So this is the use of the throws clause. Okay, so if you run this program, you will see output something like this. It will go inside here, it will print this message, and then it will come to the caller of the method, then it will throw that exception, illegal access exception, then it will catch it, and then it will print this message like caught in main. So but there are some important points that we have to remember using the throw clause. We have seen we can throw the exception which we don't want to handle it, so it can be the responsibility of the caller of the method to handle it, or if it is the main method, then it can be handled either by the main method itself or by the JVM itself, right? So let's see some important point regarding the throws clause. So throws keyword is required only for the checked exception, not for the runtime. Why? Because usage of the throws keyword for the unchecked exception is meaningless, because even though if you are not throwing it, Java compiler is going to automatically handle it. Point to be remember is like throws keyword is required only to convince the compiler, and usage of throws keyword does not prevent abnormal termination of the program, because it will just give the reminder to the caller of the method that this kinds of the exception is going to be thrown, so that caller of the method can handle it, like how we have seen in the main method it was handle it, right? Next point we have to remember, like with the help of the throws keyword we can provide information to the caller of the method about the exception. That's what we have seen in our previous example. So these are some key points that we have to remember in respect of the throws clause. So now we have seen all 5 keywords and uses of all 5 keywords, how to use that, and using that how we can handle the exception. Now let's see how many types of the exception that can occur in Java. Like in case of the error, we have seen there are 3 types of the error, but in case of the exception there can be 2 types of the exception. First is like user defined exception, second is like built-in exception. And again built-in exception can be categorized into two parts, checked exception and unchecked exception. Checked exception like this, class not found exception, IO exception, like this. And unchecked exception like arithmetic exception, null pointer exception. These are the exception which are checked at compile time. That's why we call checked exception, because can be detected by the compiler at compile time only. These kinds of the exception called unchecked exception because these are detected at runtime when you run the program. That's why it is called unchecked exception, or you can say runtime exception. Now let's see one by one. So we have already seen what is the built-in exception. So built-in exceptions are the exception that are available in Java library, right? We have seen the example of the built-in exception also, like arithmetic exception, array index out of bound exception, number format exception, illegal access exception. Those are all built-in exception because those are provided by the Java in the library itself, and those are basically two types. Basically one is checked exception, one is unchecked exception, right? And we have already seen what is checked exception and what is unchecked exception. Next is like user defined exception. So what is user defined exception? Sometimes the built-in exception in Java are not able to describe a certain situation. In such cases, like built-in exception, user or programmer can also create his own exception which are called as user defined exception. How we can create it, user defined exception? Something like this. We can write class name, then extends keyword, and using here we can provide the types of the exception that we want to create it. If we are providing exception, it means that it is going to come either at the runtime or the compile time. But let's say because the exception is the super of the exception, right? If we want to create the runtime exception, instead of extending the exception, we can implement runtime interface. But let's say this is the way we can create the exception. We can create one class, we can extend the exception, and here we can provide like constructor of the custom exception and some message, and this message we can pass to the exception class, because inside the exception class there is a constructor which is having string type of the argument. So what are the message that we are going to pass? It is going to pass directly to the exception class. So in this way we can create the user defined exception, and let's say how we can use it. So let's say we have some piece of code which might cause the exception, we have put it inside the try block, or let's say based on some condition we want to throw some exception, like how we have seen using the throw keyword we can use the explicit exception. So that explicit exception can be built-in exception or custom exception. So let's say we have already created custom exception. So how we can throw it? So we have, since we have defined one constructor, we can use those constructor and we can throw it like something like this: throw new custom exception and pass some message. So let's say we have passed some message, and after that, since this is throwing custom exception, so while handling we have to handle this exception. Like when we are throwing some illegal access exception, we are handling illegal access exception only. But in this case, let's say we are throwing custom exception, so we have to handle custom exception using the catch block. So how to handle it? Simply we provide the class name, so custom exception, and then object, and using this e object we will be able to call all the methods available inside the extend class, because as we know using the inheritance concept, we are extending any class, we will be able to access using the child class object all the method available inside the parent class. That's why we are using e.getMessage. If you see, there is no getMessage method, right? But getMessage method is available inside the exception class. Using the child class object, we are able to access it. So this is how we can create the custom exception and we can use it. So this custom exception is useful when, let's say, what are the built-in exception provided by the Java is not sufficient for our requirements. So in those kinds of scenario, we can create our own custom exception, we can customize the types of the exception, method of the exception, and we can use it in our class, means whatever way we want. So this is like user defined exception. So as of now we have seen what are the types of the error, what is the error, what are the exception, what are the types of the exception, how to handle the exception, how Java is handling the exception, how we can create the custom exception. Now let's see some important points regarding the exception handling. So first important point is like in a method there can be more than one statement that might throw an exception. so that put all those statements with their own try block and provide separate exception handling within their own catch block for each of them. That's what we have seen in case of the nested exception. Next point we have to remember is like, if an exception occur within the try block, that exception is handled by the exception handler associated with it. Means if it is throwing arithmetic exception, so what are the catch block that we have written to handle the arithmetic exception, those catch block only is going to execute. It is not going to execute another catch block. And we have also seen all the exceptions or error that might occur in the program are belong to the class called throwable class. So this is the another important point. Next important point that we have to remember, like for each try block there can be 0 or more catch block, but only one finally block, meaning there can be one try block and multiple catch block. There can be one try block or one single catch block, but in case of finally there can be only one finally block, right? Next point is like finally block. Finally block is optional. Meaning of the finally block is like it always gets executed whether the exception occurred in the program or not. Okay, so if an exception occur, then it will execute after the try and catch block, and if exception does not occur, then it will execute after the try block. That's what we have seen. And finally block in Java also used to put important code. So what is the usage of the finally block? That's what we have seen. It is used to put some important code that we want to execute always, such as some code cleanup code or closing the connection, closing the file. Those kinds of code we can put inside the finally block. Next point we have to remember is like, since we have seen finally block is going to be executed always whether the exception occur or not, but there is some special scenario where finally block is not going to be executed, and those are something like, if we write system.exit in the try block, then finally block will not be executed. This is not recommended, but yes, there is a way where we can avoid to execute the finally block. So these are some important topics that we wanted to discuss in today's video. In next upcoming video, we are going to discuss another important concept called wrapper classes. So stay tuned, we'll meet you soon. Thank you.